Hello boys and girls, Ant here, and on today's Ant Spot collection, I'm not doing a review, don't tell anyone. I'm going to be going through the collection of figures I have purchased so far this year, that's January to June 2021. And I've just laid them all out on my bed here, and it's a lot. It's a lot, I spent a bit much. One figure I may have got for an absolute bargain though. Like, if I'm right about one of the figures, he may cover the cost of most of these if I sell him on. We'll see. We're not going to do this in chronological order of when I got them, but I am going to basically split them up into 4 categories. We're going to go Generation 1, then we're going to go miscellaneous figures, I had to just look and remember. Then movie figures, which is like, you know, live action and studio series 86. And then the last bit will just be like generations. Sound good? So, without further ado, let's get going. First up, I got this little Astro Train, G1 Astro Train, and it's a brand new one. He is a 2020 reissue that recently went up on Zavvi for pre-orders. I say recently, it was like in February. It was only $14.99, and this is a figure I always wanted when I was a little kid. And I'm not too fussed that it's not like, you know, the original Astro Train. I mean, the only real major difference between this and the original ones, as far as I'm aware, is the heat sticker here is the new versions of them, which seem to always be on, as far as I can tell. And they only come up in red, which, you know, I mean, it could just always be on because it's boiling hot right now in the UK. But this is a guy friends of mine had when I was a kid, and I always wanted. I love my triple changes. One of my favourite figures of all time is the G1 Springer, which I've had since I was little. And, you know, it was nice to have another triple changer. I still want to get a Blitzwing, and then I'll decide if I want to go on to the other triple changers, because some of those early ones are a little bit ropey, but Blitzwing's definitely one I want to get eventually. But it was just nice getting hold of an Astro Train. And, yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with him. This arm does like to stay stuck in there really severely. It is a pain in the arse to get out, but you know what, I'll live with it. I'll just break a few fingernails along the way. Next up, I've got a pair of Throttlebots. This is Wide Load and Chase? Or is it Freeway? I can never remember. Chase and Freeway always confuse me because they're both just the regular car ones. They don't have anything that sticks out. I think it's Chase. But basically, I've been thinking I wanted to complete a full set of figures in one range, and I've, you know, looked through the G1 ones, and I was like, you know, I could try and do a combiner. But the thing is with combiners is that if you start collecting them up, there's always at least one figure that costs more than all the others. And so, you know, I was just like, it's going to be tricky. These guys, you can pick these up for £5-10 quid each. I bought both of these for £5, and I only need to get Searchlight and Goldbug, and I'll have all the Throttlebots, because I already have Freeway and Rollbar. I had to remember his name. I had Goldbug when I was a kid, and I'm pretty sure it might be amongst all my dad's stuff at his place. One day I'll have to go there and, you know, dig through his attic and see what's there. But I'll just buy a new one. But yeah, Wide Load and Chase. This guy's great. I kind of love him. He's a little bit different to the other ones, but if I get all of them, I'll do a little review about all the Throttlebots, and then I'll start thinking about a combiner I want to try and collect up. Not strictly a figure, but it is a Transformers pickup. I got the Tiger Electronics Generation 2 LCD game, which I never had when I was a kid. I never even played it when I was a kid, I don't think. Anyway, but I saw it in the shops as I was wandering around, and it's surprisingly actually pretty fun. It's actually one of the better LCD games. A lot of these are kinda awful. They're definitely not got a patch on your average Game & Watch a lot of the time, but this one, nice. Solid stuff. I had a good old blast playing this. I got through a couple of the stages, and then I was like, right, done with that. So yeah, straight in the bin. Right, this next figure is the bargain one I was on about earlier. When I bought that Chase figure the other week, I looked on the person's eBay account, and they had a whole bunch of figures on there, all mistransformed and stuff, but they're all labelled with the right name, which was a bit sort of like, you don't know how to transform them, but you know enough to find out who they're called. But they had one on there, which was Mixmaster, but the thing is, it was blue. Now, if you know something with your Devastators, your G1 Devastators, they only came out in the UK and the West in green, yellow and orange. I happen to have a yellow version here. that I got when I was a kid. This is my childhood one. It's in good condition, actually. Pretty good condition. It's got a little bit of chrome wear, but whatever. There's a few differences on them, like they didn't have a little launcher thing in there, so you couldn't put a missile in the top and fire it out. But yeah, they were pretty neat little figures. But anyway, that's the one I've had since I was a kid. But I saw this blue one on there, and it was £5. No one had bidded on it. There was like 30 minutes left, and I was like, what is that? So I did a little bit of research, and I found out that like the original Diaclone ones, which I thought only came out in orange and yellow, actually had a variant in 1984 where two of them were blue, and it was in a multi-pack, only ever sold in a multi-pack. And yeah, I bid on it, expecting to get something that was like a cheap knockoff one, and it isn't. This is actually the blue Diaclone Mixmaster, or cement mixer, or concrete mixer. It always said concrete mixer on the box, but people for some reason call it cement mixer, or at least Takara do anyway. But yeah, this is the genuine real deal. I even had someone confirm it, and yeah, it's a nice one. It's not complete. He doesn't have his gun, he doesn't have the missile, but he does have the little launcher mechanism. So the launcher is there for it. I don't know if it still works. It feels kind of like, I mean, it was friction powered, I think, if I remember rightly. But yeah, it's that's the real deal. I'll give you a little look at the stamp on the back. Let's see if I can get it in camera. Takara Company Limited, Japan, 1980, 1984. Yeah, and I had someone online tell me that yes, that is the real thing. So I'm going to have to look up and see, do I want to sell it? I probably don't want to sell it, because I got to be honest, I kind of really like this blue colour scheme. I don't think I'm going to be able to get Long Arm, the crane one. He's the other one that was blue in the set, and I'm definitely not going to try and collect up a full Diaclone Devastator until I'm very, very rich. If I can get the sort of money that Sixo has, because he seems to be able to buy every Transformer under the sun, then I'll try and get a Diaclone Devastator Construction Robo. But as it is, this guy, he is the real deal, and he's lovely. I'll show him in vehicle mode, because he is a lovely little vehicle. It's all chromed out, nice dark windows. Yeah, lovely little thing. Should I turn him into a leg? Look, you can turn him into a leg. I'm doing it wrong. Oh, there you go. He turns into the leg of Devastator, the left leg. But yeah, Construction Robo, cement mixer, concrete mixer, Diaclone figure in Diaclone blue. It is lovely. The chrome is nice on the front as well. Look at it, glisten. Look at it shine. Look at it shine. Good figure. And with that, we're done with G1. Let's move on. I'm going to make such a mess on here. Okay, and the first figure I got this year, literally got dispatched at the end of 2020, arrived on like the 3rd of January, was this guy, Gigawatt, the Back to the Future crossovers fella. This is actually the first, well, one of the first figures I reviewed on the channel. Is it the first figure? I can't remember. I only started this channel a few months ago. I've only done like 7 reviews and I've forgotten what I've done already. But yeah, Gigawatt, he's a lot of fun. I've still, every now and again, dragged him down off the wall, had a little play with him. He's a good little figure. I've got him stood over there normally with his foot on Hound, recreating the pose from the front of the Back to the Future poster, cover art and all that. Still enjoy him. He's a good figure. I don't think I'll be picking up like other repaints, like the other moulds for this, like Sideswipe and whatnot. Pretty happy with this mould as it is, and that'll do. But yeah, if you want proper in-depth review of this, then check out the review I did of this. It's one of the old ones before I got a light. Next up is this fun lad. It's Wild Wheel. Now, Wild Wheel, I've wanted ever since I saw Gav Spence. He did a review of this figure as one of his first Transformer reviews done quick, before it was called Transformer Reviews Done Quick, when he used to just post them on Twitter. And it's kind of a fun figure. Look, he's got a little cowboy hat. Got a cowboy hat that you can put on and everything. And his like armour, his spark armour, which it's not coming off, whatever. His spark armour looks like he's got a little thing on. And he's also got this function where, I mean, you take his hat off to get to it. But yeah, he lights up, and apparently it's supposed to react to your voice and stuff, but it doesn't really react, it just sort of glows a whole bunch. It's not really in time to the sounds I'm making at all, really. As a figure, he's kind of basic and cheap, and I only got him because he was like half price. It was like £11 something. You know, he's more of a fun toy than anything else. The sort of one I might consider getting for my nephew. I might pass this one on to him eventually. The only things I really criticise, those arms are thin. Like, those are some skinny arms. They are just they are just flat. But I do like, it's a little plaything. It's pretty cool. You can like attach his hat to the back, to his back, so he can wear it on his back and stuff. And he's got like, I'll try and get this off. There you go. He's got a little mustache. Isn't that fun? He's a fun little figure. But yeah, the Cyberverse figures, I'm not really super into them or anything because they are a little bit sort of, they feel cheapo. But at the same time, these cheaper made guys are the sort of reason why we get such nice Generations figures. Because like these sell to all the little kids and then we get the nice treats as adults because, I say adults, let's face it. But yeah, he's a fun guy. I quite like him. I like how his feet kind of look like hooves. His transformation is like a piece of piss. Takes like 2 seconds to transform. It's just a case of clipping it all, swinging things up and clipping it all together. But yeah, decent little figure. It's Wild Wheel. And I got this Power of the Primes Titans Return. I think it's Titans Return. Brawn, which I only brought because I did a thing on Twitter where I said, hey, what figures do you want in the background, which I haven't done today. And Nielzabub, who's a guy who's got a good tokusatsu review channel, you might check him out. He does videos about tokusatsu shows. He mentioned Brawn and I was like, oh, I don't have a Brawn, so I brought a Brawn. He's alright, although this arm here doesn't half pop off really easily, like all the time. It is quite frustrating. It doesn't feel like it's in there properly. I'll live with it. And I could have done with his helmet being grey, rather than green. He's got a little space in his cab to fit a little Titan Master, even though he isn't a Titan Master, like he isn't a Headmaster or anything. There actually was a Brawn Headmaster that they did in the range, which was just the head, which came with a little truck, but then they did a little Legion size version of him. But yeah, he's decent enough. He's really simple. He reminds me a lot of like Generation 1 figures with like the 3-second, 4-step transformation and all that. And yeah, I've got a Brawn now. Finally got one. Right, we got a pair of hot rods now. I've brought 3 hot rods this year. You've already seen one of them on the channel when I reviewed him, but and another one I'm going to get to in a second. The first one I'm going to bring up today is this little fella, this Titans Return hot rod, who is a really nice little figure, really basic, got some really simple moves. His transformation is another really easy one. But I brought this off of Few from Few's Awesome Transformer Reviews. He was selling it for a tenner, and I was like, yeah, fudge it, whatever, fine. And yeah, I've now brought 3 hot rods this year. But he's a fun guy. He's one of the Titan Masters, so his head pops off and stuff. It barely fits on there. There's like barely enough clearance for his head to get on the back where the Titan Master feet come out. It's kind of interesting. There's a couple of steps in his transformation that are really similar to the Studio Series one. Like the way this comes up and turns around. Although the hinge is the right colour on this one. And the wheels are like a simpler version. Like they just sort of... the whole wheel arch just sort of folds in behind his legs. Whereas on the Studio Series one, it's a bit more of a complicated folding up system. But it's oddly similar. But yeah, he's kind of fun. I quite like him. Nice simple Titans Return guy. I'm trying to fill in the gaps between my collection because, like I've mentioned before, I sort of stopped not long after Beast Wars and Beast Machines ended, and I didn't collect anything for years. So it's kind of nice to have something that's filling in one of the midpoints in there. Speaking of filling in the midpoints and also Hot Rod, I brought MP28 Hot Rod. I now have 3 Masterpiece figures. I've actually got a 4th one that's going to arrive at the end of the year. I've heard some people say they don't like this figure, and I honestly don't know why. I think he's kind of great. Like, the transformation into vehicle mode isn't super complicated for a Masterpiece figure. It's actually pretty straightforward. Like, he's really nicely designed. I will admit the backpack is a bit much. Like, look how far away the spoiler is from the back of his head there. Like, it actually creates some weird perspective things where I expect this part to be right behind his head, but it kind of... yeah, it looks like someone's messed up the parallax scrolling on a video game. But as a figure, really nice. Apparently there's another version of this which was all like coloured like the cartoon used to colour him, where all the shades were wrong and they like messed up this part here because they thought the shadowing on the test art they were sent was actually just different colour leg parts, so they used to colour them wrong. So apparently there is a version that has that, and I say apparently there is a version like that. But I kind of quite want that one as well. But I am really happy with this figure. I got it after the YouTuber 6O. He did a video ages ago, he hasn't done one for a while, where he was like, what's the best Masterpiece scale figure in this style of range to get? And he mentioned this guy, and I was like, yeah, I like this one. He said it was his favourite, and I was like, yeah. The other one looks a bit too hefty. His vehicle mode is massive. The original Rodimus Hot Rod, or Rodimus Prime, the one that turns into Hot Rod and Rodimus Prime. So this one's more my speed, about Voyager size. Nice figure, really good. Right, onto the movie bots. I've got to drag them all over. One sec. Right, we're going to start off with two figures that I also brought off a few from Few's Awesome Transform reviews. I brought these earlier in the year, like February time, I think it was. First one is Dark of the Moon Megatron, which he actually reviewed on his channel. This figure has appeared on YouTube before. This is his comeback baby, and I really enjoy this guy. I'm not big on the movie designs at all. You wouldn't think it, even though I've brought 4 movie figures so far this year. But this guy, I got him and I fiddled around with him for a while. It took me a while to get the hang of the transformation. There were some steps where I was expecting the head to disappear inside and it doesn't. It sort of folds up in a different way, and I messed a few bits up on the way, but I figured it out eventually. And yeah, he ends up being this incredibly, really nice truck mode that somehow hides all these robot parts. So I was super impressed with it. It's really good, and he's got this function. You push this and it goes, hold on, and I can hold it in some way. Boom, like it comes out like a cannon. Really good figure, and his cape's come off now. His head is tiny though. When Few did his review, he mentioned about how tiny his head looks. If you take the cape off, it is pretty tiny. There's some really good light piping on it, but yeah, it's tiny little head. Dark of the Moon Megatron, really nice. But there's more. I got Revenge of the Fallen Starscream in the same box from him. He didn't tell me he was sending this. He said he was going to chuck a couple of extra bots in there, and he chucked in a whole bag of bots, most of which I've passed on to my nephew with his Christmas present. His birthday present earlier in the year. But there was this one in there, and I mentioned this guy in my Starscream review. He got this in a Damn It Open episode, and someone had painted parts of him to give him, I don't know if it's more film accurate or Nitro Zeus-esque colours. I mean, he's given him rockets that apparently come from Thundercracker. But you know what? This figure's also pretty good. I don't like Starscream's look in the movies at all. I think everyone hates the look. But the transformation into jet mode is kind of clever, and the way the wings fold up into the back there, the entire back half of the plane and all the wings are folded up there, and it is wafer thin, and it turns into a very tidy jet mode. But yeah, really good figure. I like all the tattoos and stuff to it. Makes him look a bit hardcore, because he's such a badass, isn't he? And it's my second masterpiece, movie masterpiece Jazz, which, I've done a review of already. So you know how I think about this figure. He's really good and really complex to transform. He is definitely the most complicated transformation I've had, in terms of intricate parts and stuff. Definitely a bit tougher than the alternators that I decry sometimes, but the alternators are fine, they're just awkward. I did have a problem the other day when I was trying to transform this, just fiddling around with it. And I got stuck and it wouldn't go together right, and I couldn't figure out for the life of me what was wrong, and I went back through steps and stuff, and then eventually just clipped into place. But I am glad I picked this one up over the Ironhide figure that was done, because every time I see that masterpiece Ironhide, whoever's showing it on YouTube, they've got another Reese thing, they complain about it. So even Sixo got it out and he was like, I hope you're happy that I'm transforming this multiple times for you. Which does make me think, yeah, even if he doesn't like the transformation, because he deals with the most ridiculous complex transformations and he doesn't like Ironhide. So yeah, I'm glad I got this one over Ironhide, even though he's a smaller guy, and also you can split him in half because it's funny. And last of my Bayverse bots is one I only got this week, because I spent a lot of money this week on Transformers. This is Skipjack. He's a repaint of Rampage from the Studio Series Constructicons range. And he is a weird looking bugger. He comes with a base and everything, which actually goes into his robot mode. It stows away between the Caterpillar tracks. He's a surprising figure. He's got not the most articulate thing in the world. His elbows are all the way up the top here. And, he is a weird looking bugger, and there's no way you're going to stand him without this stand. But he does turn into a really good, bulldozer. The instructions are kind of bad. I think they probably need to be sized up a little bit, because sometimes it's showing you to move things, and it's painted a whole chunk of him purple, but all it wants you to move is one of these arms. But he is a neat looking boy. He's also got some godly ratcheting. Listen to this. He's got that ratcheting to support the leg mode. He turns into the left leg of Devastator. Apparently they did this figure just because the red one was out and it wasn't accurate to the film. In the film he's got a yellow leg, but I think there was something the figure was originally intended to be with a Bumblebee figure in a double pack. Something like that. I don't know, I didn't really pay attention. But no, he's a good lad. He's got like, you can see his combiner part here, like the other one slots in to this and combines together. It's an interesting combiner. I might try and get a couple more of these, but there's no way I'm going to be able to afford to get all of these. They're starting to go up in price now and they're disappearing from shelves, and this guy was reduced. Like Smiths were trying to get rid of him for 30 quid. So I think I did alright. I think he's like 40 quid normally, isn't he? The only thing I will say is that like trailer truck bit on the back, I'm moving it in the way. That trailer truck bit in the back is a little bit sort of sticky outy from the back. I feel like something could have been done with that, but at the same time it does give me a really nice easy place to hold him. So yeah, that's Skipjack, who is one of the Constructicons they made up for the film, I guess. Right, let's move on to some 1986 movie guys. First up is one I've reviewed on this channel already. It is Hot Rod. This is Hot Rod number 3 that I've purchased this year. Well, actually he was the first one I purchased. But yeah, as I said in my review, really liked him. I'm still a little bit stressed out about the little stress marks I found under there, but they haven't fallen apart yet. And I do think, like, between him and the Masterpiece one, I do kind of prefer the Masterpiece one. It's just the transformation's a little bit smoother on that. But this is a really good figure. I'm still not sure about whether or not I want to get the Optimus Prime, because it's 85 quid, and like, while it is undoubtedly a nice looking figure, it's 85 quid for a guy who's slightly bigger than this. And I mean, the last time I spent 85 quid on one figure, it was Skylynx. I've got him over there. Skylynx is massive. Like, Skylynx is a friggin' tank of a figure. I would much rather spend 85 quid on a figure that's got that sort of chunkitude than one that's like accessory laden. Accessories are fun and all, but you know, at the end of the day you want the figure. But you know, maybe I will. Maybe he'll be a shelf warmer and I'll get lucky and find him for half price. That'd be awesome. But no, Hot Rod, he's good. He's alright. Yeah. And what about Hot Rod's best mate, Cup? This is a weird figure. I wasn't quite prepared for how strange he is to transform. He does like some weird manoeuvres and surprising swoop arounds and stuff that you wouldn't expect, and ends up with a really tidy like vehicle mode. Definitely a fair bit better than the G1 figure, who is, I mean, he's alright, but I mean, the G1 figure, I didn't realise he had proper feet until like last year. But there is one funny thing I find in it. There's like an interesting thing. You see this bit here? You fold down his flap and you turn his knee just slightly and then you close it back up again. And if you do it to both legs, it looks like he's got rickets. So, which I think is more true to Cup. Because, you know, he's an old man. He's falling apart. Speaking of falling apart, his arms and legs come off. And you can, like, just stick him in all over the place. You can also stick the limbs from, like, one of those weaponizer type guys and all that, like Grease Pit? I'm trying to remember his name. You know the ones, I can't remember their names. But yeah, he's alright. He has got light piping, and it is the most like depressing light piping in the world ever. You can see see that little strip on the back there. His eyes are tiny though, and it kind of actually makes him look a little bit more sort of dead in the eyes than somehow. It just makes him look a little bit more weary. Like there's a tiny little bit of light left and it's not coming through. He is neat. He does come with a little, you know, his little Energon goodies, which does clip into the vehicle mode quite spectacularly. The legs are great as well. The way all these parts like just swoop out from the legs to make part of the vehicle. You know, there's quite some clever stuff going on there with the engineering on that. He's a decent figure. I don't know if he's going to be one of those ones that I pick up and fiddle with frequently, because his transformation is kind of weird and awkward. It's not necessarily like a fluid transformation. It's one that you have to know really well. Like, I don't think many people would figure it out on their own. Not quickly, anyway. But he's good. Now, let's move on to another Studio Series 1. This one's a bit of a chunky boy. He's a chunky boy. I went and got Studio Series Grimlock. This is a big lad. Like, people said, oh, he's a proper big lad. And I'm used to, like, the leader size figures not being that big these days, but this guy, he is big. Hold on a sec, let's just get Optimus Hot Rod here. Yeah, he's like nearly 2 times the height. I'm still not sure what to make of this figure. He is big, he is chunky, he looks like Grimlock, he does the Grimlock thing very well. It is my first proper Grimlock figure. I've got Action Master Grimlock from when I was a kid, which I love that. I love the Action Masters, I think they're cool. And I've also got one of those Construct Bots ones, which is from the movie and looks weird. But this is a really good Grimlock, but I will say that he is overly simple and there's a couple of little things that kind of bother me slightly. Like a lot of people, you can barely see through this. This should be a bit lighter. Apparently you can take it off, but I've not tried because I don't want to break it. And it is like movie accurate stuff. And there is one thing that I'm not too keen on, which is these parts inside his legs. They form the tail, but the point of the tail is really wide and flat. It looks a little bit wrong, but the robot mode looks spot on. That is a chunky ass Grimlock, and it looks spot on. When he's in dinosaur mode, it's kind of a little less perfect. There's a lot of gaps here and there. There's places where things just don't line up in the slightest. Not because I'm doing them wrong, but because they're actually designed to have gaps in them. I will say I do like. Let's just pop this down. All this little greebly detail inside here is really nice, like completely unnecessary. And you notice like these little circle ports here line up with the shoulders when you pop them in place, which little details like that are really good. Like I say, he's a great figure, just one that's got a couple of little things here and there where, like, you know, that mess you up a little bit. They mess him up a little bit, I suppose. Massive frigging gun. There's still things about Grimlock's design that I've never really gelled with. Like, I love the look of these, like there's the toes. But why are they always articulated? Because you can't, if you close them down, they're not going to close down in robot mode. They just sit there. So why are they always articulated? I never get that. Maybe it's like a, you know, powerful knuckle duster style punch. I don't know. That's something for kids playing with toys to figure out. You know, like me. He's a good figure. It's 50 quid though, but that is a chunky figure. Don't expect a 50 quid transformation. You're not getting a masterpiece level figure here. You're getting a very big regular Generations figure. They have announced Slug is coming out soon, and he's massive, and I kind of feel compelled to get them because I would like to have all the Dinobots. I would stand them on there, especially if they do Swoop, because I've never had a Swoop, and that would be nice. But yeah, Studio Series 86 Grimlock. It's good. I guess I'll move on to the Earthrise and Kingdom guys now. This is going on a bit. Let's start with the first one I got this year. I got Cyclonus. This may be one of my favourite Transformer figures of all time. Ignore the Target Master I've left on there. I just thought it looked better if he has a Target Master, because, you know, that's neat. How have they not been re-releasing some of these figures with Target Masters packaged in with them? You know, like, you know, that's how they were re-released in the day, weren't they? He is a fantastic figure. There is a bit in his transformation which every time I do it is still kind of mind-blowing, where like his entire nose cone, which, like, if you take the ship part here, the nose cone extends to like here, and the whole thing folds up into his chest. It's pretty crazy, and that's all to avoid doing anything with this rabbit here part here. He has god tier light piping, which is absolutely amazing, and I'm pretty sure, like, if you line everything up right, the light piping will go through the canopy. But he's great, like there's no holes in the legs or anything, it all just clips together perfectly. He's like seamless. I've lost one of the gun bits, one of the blast effects. But no, that is a fantastic figure. It's one I keep thinking I should do a proper review of, because I don't get many Decepticons. I've been very Autobot focused on the channel. But yeah, he's a good one. I still don't know if I'm going to get Scourge or Galvatron. Galvatron looks a bit weird every time I see him. Cyclonus here, it's good. I'll also quickly mention Kingdom Optimus Prime. I did a review of this guy. He's tiny, he's kind of fun, pocket money toy, perfect for kids. Not much to say about him, but I've done a review of him a while ago, so while we're talking about pocket money toys, I got Rat Trap. This little Rat Trap guy, I'm still not sure what to make of him. On the one hand, there's some clever engineering going on for such a small figure, and he does transform into a really nice little rat. The only thing is, like, I get the original Rat Trap figure out, and I just grab him by the tail and give him a shake, and he transforms instantly. Whereas this guy doesn't. He's kind of like it takes like a full minute to transform this thing, whereas the original took a second. And when I get to a small figure like this, I kind of expect him to be a bit more fun, but at the same time, I can't dislike him. He's really nicely put together and really nicely made, and like, you know, he transforms into a rat lovely, and he looks like the original thing. And like, this looks like the Beast Wars character brought to life. I mean, maybe the head, the mouse head, should be a little bit bigger for a true Beast Wars look. No, he is a really good little figure. It's just, the only thing is that I feel like the original's more fun. Speaking of, when I reviewed Optimus Primal, the original Beast Wars figure, I did briefly go into this Optimus Prime, the new Kingdom version of him. And while he is a really good figure, I've had no desire to pick him up and fiddle around with him since I got him. He's pretty much just still on the shelf. I've got like an Optimus Prime area over there, which is getting kind of cramped. Might need to spread him out a little bit. But while he is a really good figure, he's just not as fun as the original. The original was like I think I said in the video, the original was like the Buzz Lightyear of Transformer figures. It is one of the greatest toys ever made. This thing's just kind of fun but dull. But he's fine enough. He's just, I say fun but dull. I mean, he works, but he's just kind of boring. But yeah, which makes me think what the show is going to be like, which, you know, airs next month. That show's going to be, they're going to ruin it, aren't they? Earthrise wasn't good. Anyway, that's Kingdom Optimus Primal. There's not much I can say about him other than he's not much fun. Right, getting near the end. Only a few more. I got Warpath, Kingdom Warpath. I was really looking forward to grabbing this figure. The original is one of my favourite Transformers from when I was a kid. I occasionally get the little thing out because he takes like half a second to transform. He's lovely. This guy takes considerably longer than half a second to transform. He has a really nice design. Like, I can't argue with the engineering on this. There's some really clever parts. The way the legs sort of pop out and do a half twizzle and fold and then sort of wrap around to extend themselves, and yeah, and little details like the slants on the knees here, they're sort of done to mimic the way the hexagon shaped part on the original toy would line into the front of the tank on the original. And also you can see like little elements of the hexagon shape here. Like, there's loads of little design details on this which are just fantastic. I will say though, there's a couple of bits that were a bit of a pain in the arse. There's like, you can't see them because they're all tucked away, but there's a couple of little pegs that when you transform him, they fold out and you're meant to clip them together, but they clip together like that. But the thing is that by that point, the front part is already locked into place and you can't really clip them together. And the second time I transformed it, one of the little pegs to hold it together popped off, just completely snapped. And it's now actually easier to transform him because of that. I was having such nightmares getting those little bits clipped together. I don't know if I didn't have the knack or something, but once one of those popped off, he became way easier because they're not designed to slot together sideways. There's like, one of the nubbins has two little nubs either side of it, and they're meant to slot into between two other nubs. And yeah, once that snapped off, transforms a lot easier. So yeah, pro tip, break your toys. But yeah, he is a really good figure. It's just, you know, basic. And I was just thinking now, why didn't he come with a gun? But then again, he's got a gun on his chest. Doesn't need a gun, does he? But yeah, Warpath, he's a good figure. I'm really interested to see if they're going to do any like repaints of this guy. You get a lot of repaints with Siege and stuff, but Warpath is a very specific figure. You know, I don't think there's much repaint potential with this. There's not many that have a full tank barrel for the chest, is there? Like even Bludgeon, you couldn't really turn that into Bludgeon, could you? He's alright. He's a decent enough figure. He's just, you know, just got his flaws, but he's well made. It's Warpath. Right. Got another big boy here. I got Kingdom Ultra Magnus. Now this guy is a bit of a mixed bag, I think. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever do a proper review on him, but he is a figure who is undoubtedly really good as Ultra Magnus. And I actually quite like the inner robot, the little fake Optimus that's inside. Let's pop his chest off. There's a little fake Optimus in there, like always. A little chunky dad bod Optimus. I really do like both those components. The vehicle mode kind of lets it down though, because while the truck itself is fine, the trailer is basically made out of all these little parts and they all just sort of connect together, and you can't put any other cars inside it. There's no play value with it. It just kind of clips together like Lego, and I kind of feel like that's a bit rubbish. I mean, I'm not bothered about parts form and stuff, especially when the parts, you know, when they come off. Let's pop this off. You know, when you pop the part off, there is actually like, you know, a full-blown transformation you have to end up doing to him. When I can remember how it opens. There you go. Like, there is a whole bunch of transformation you do, and he ends up like becoming the back part of the truck. But it is, you know, it's just the result isn't as good as you would probably hope for, because while it is a decent, really nice looking figure, that truck mode just lets it down a little bit, I think. But I do prefer this one over what they showed for the Earthrise one originally. The the Siege guy. Like, I remember seeing that one when it came out and he was all covered in all those damaged decals and stuff. And it looked terrible. I do think they've done a really good job of making an Ultra Magnus with this. But it's kind of weird he's just not as enjoyable as the original one. I've got the original one over there. I stand these two together. And the original one is just a lot of fun. I would like to see him reissue that original G1 Ultra Magnus with this colour scheme. Or maybe do it the other way round, because I kind of like both colour schemes. I don't know which one I prefer. But no, he's a solid figure. He's just, you know, he's a pricey one. Because he's not a cheap figure, he's 50 quid. This is the size I was expecting for 50 quid. And you get like, you know, Grimlock here, who's bigger and chunkier. Let's line them up properly. But yeah, it's a weird one. I don't know what to do with leader class. I'm not too big on the accessory side of thing, and this guy is all accessories. But he is a decent enough figure. I can't be too harsh on him. It's just that truck mode just doesn't work as well. There is some clever stuff in the transformation as well, like this part here. I kind of dig that. That's really elegant. Nice little way of, you know, doing that without adding another part to it. Although I've always disagreed with this being this way round, it should be the other way round. It looks weird that way round. It should be, the slants go this way. But anyway, that's Ultra Magnus. Oh, one thing with him though is his ankles. They are default set to a tilt. You can only really stand in a Tory power stance no matter what you do. But no, he is good. He's decent enough. Just is he 50 quid decent? Who knows? Not me. Right. Last two guys are both Netflix reissues of existing figures, both with some changes. So the first one I got was the Soundwave figure, who I've got to say is a really good Soundwave. Apparently he is a retool of the Siege Soundwave, which I never got because while the robot mode of Siege Soundwave looked really good, he turned into, you know, absolutely nothing. He's just like a ship, and they go, oh yeah, he's a spaceship here. Just turn him into a cassette player. Just say it's a Cybertronian cassette player. But no, he is a really nicely done figure. I like the Laserbeak. He's got a little place for Laserbeak to sit on there. Apparently you can get Laserbeak to sit in these tiny little grooves on his arms, but you know, I can't get him to stay there. And also you can press this and there's a little Ravage inside there. Ravage is a little bit weird to transform. Not my favourite transformation. Laserbeak's a lot more simpler and enjoyable. I kind of like that. You know, there is some weirdness as well, like where they've retooled him from the other one. They've only changed a few parts just to enable the transformation to cassette player, but they've left like these gun bits on here which form guns on the original one. Like I think they're landing gears or guns or something, and they've left them on there for some reason. Like they could have taken them off, but I guess they just did it just to avoid remoulding another part of him. But no, he's a decent solid figure. He's got some light piping, which is always nice. Can't really see it in here, but yeah, he's got the light piping. He's alright, and I do like how his hand is permanently in a little finger position so he can reach up and touch his own button. So, you know, who doesn't love touching their own button? He's good. Laserbeak, you know, Laserbeak's a good figure. Ravage, a little bit awkward. I would like a Rat Bat, but you can't find these cassette tapes now anywhere, so I would like them to repaint this into Blaster though, please. Thank you very much. Like, do a Blaster, do something with his legs so he can have the full boombox look, maybe, because I quite like Blaster to be a full Ghetto Blaster rather than just a copy of Soundwave. You know, he's pretty good. So yeah, Soundwave. And lastly, we got the Netflix Siege, Kingdom, Earthrise, whatever it is, Optimus Prime repaint. This is the first Optimus Prime like big size figure I've bought for a while, because I got that Kingdom one just because I thought it'd be fun to have a tiny Optimus Prime, and I've seen this transform tons of times on YouTube because the Siege figure and this one are basically the same, and the transformation is really clever. There is some really neat steps on it, and the way I've like no backpack or anything. You got the wheels here, but apparently you can just pop these off. But I'm not going to, because I don't want to break my figure, because I've already broken my masterpiece Optimus Prime. He comes with, like, this axe, who, I don't know his name. It's not Pterodactyl. I've forgotten what his name is already. I only got this figure, like, 2 days ago, and I've forgotten the name. I'm going to call him Axehole. That's his name. And he comes with a guy who transforms into a slab. I mean, he's just lying down. That's all he does. He's supposed to be a shield, but he's got like the connector ports for the ramp thing that you can do. Apparently that was the gimmick on Earthrise, but I don't think anyone cared. But yeah, as an Optimus, he's really good. His gun folds up, you can stow it on the back. You know, lots of people have said about how great this is, you know. I'll show you a bit of that transformation, like the way the whole chest unfurls there, and you get the whole front of the cab, and it still, you know, pops out further. It's just really clever. It's some clever engineering, and, you know, I will say I understand why people quite like this Optimus Prime. They did him as a Voyager class in Siege, which, you know, was good. That was a good price point for him. Didn't come with a trailer. And then they did the leader class version, which has the trailer, and I'm not too keen on the trailers because, like, they take up tons of space. I've got the G1 trailer over there, and that takes up a ton of room. Beast Machine's Optimus Primal is stood on it right now. I prefer just having the figure. So when I saw this was in there, and he comes with a couple of, like, piss bots, because they're made of wee, I thought they were good, so I thought I'd grab him. And I'm quite happy with the figure. I think this is a good one to play around with and fiddle about with. Really nice design, like, you know, spot on. He has got the moody, darker colours going on, but I don't care, that's fine. And it is quite nice to have a Voyager-sized figure that's got working fingers and stuff. Apparently there's, like, some of the detail in here. There's, like, the hinges from the Siege version that they just never bothered changing. And there's, like, a second trailer hitch under here for some reason, like a port. I don't know why that's there. I'm not going to look into it too much. You know, if I have any gripes, you know, will I have a gripe? The only gripe I have is these bits from the truck mode, the little barrels, fuel tanks. I don't know what they're meant to be. I don't know trucks. They don't have to slide back in really easily when you're transforming him around and, you know, picking him up and stuff. As a figure, really nice. As I say, I'm not too keen on that Netflix show. It is miserable, but, you know, if I get like a slightly different deco of a figure, then I might as well go for it, mightn't I? So yeah, that is actually all the figures I have purchased so far this year. Hopefully, if I do another video like this at the end of the year, or start of next year, I won't have so many, because I got all these and I stood them all out, and it made me sort of cry a little bit at how much I've probably spent on Transformers this year. I've spent this much because I got made redundant, so I had redundancy money. I had like extra pay. Oh, my light's gone. My lights ran out of battery. Oh well, it's nighttime mode. I had extra pay, you know, extra money. I got paid twice in 1 month this past month, so that's why I spent 90 quid on figures this week. But anyway, thanks for watching. I guess I've got to finish because I didn't charge up the light, which lasted hours last time I charged it. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you later. Bye! Oh, and if there's any of these figures you would like to see me do a full review of, let me know. Bye!